We have new evidence showing that Joe Biden's US government continue to think that they are the world police and they should interfere in other countries' affairs. This time by ordering Justin Trudeau to crack down on the Canadian truckers movement. Is absolute idiocy at this point, because we know that when it comes to the general international club of the Western nations, whether it's Canada and US or France with Macron and our own government in the UK, they have this consensus, there's this global consensus that they support each other, all these states. But there is also a diplomatic consensus that governments don't really interfere, shouldn't interfere in domestic affairs of other nations. That's a given. But of course, we know that's never actually happened, because there's always someone who breaks the rule and they don't really care about that. You remember Barack Hussein Obama when he interfered in the Brexit referendum, even though he had nothing to do with him? But David Cameron and Downing Street asked him as a favour to come and say, can you go on TV and say, if you vote Brexit, you'll be back of the queue? And Americans don't say queue, they say line, but okay. So this one is about Joe Biden. Now, Biden and his administration ordered Justin Trudeau to crack down on the Canadian truckers. You would think that Justin Trudeau himself would be willing to do that anyway, because he didn't like those protests. Those protests completely exposed Trudeau's government's authoritarianism at the time when it came to the lockdown policies and the health passports and everything else and testings. But why should a US president care that much? Why should a Canadian prime minister bow down and surrender to a US president? Yes, you are friendly neighbors, but come on, you have your own government and authority. Now, the reason is for this. It was in the interest of America to shut down these protests for two reasons, by the way. First things first, Justin Trudeau is going to be testifying, actually it started last week, about the convoy, the Canadian convoy that started the protest movement, to kind of see about his decisions, whether they were right or wrong. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with that testimony, and in terms of the actual verdict, but in reality, Americans were worried because in the northeast of the US, there were a number of car plants and factories and all these bad places where they really needed the whole process to be smooth. But the protests and the blockage of the roads that went for over 3 weeks were actually threatening these car factories to be shut down. And so basically on the 10th of February, this was when the fear started in Washington, Joe Biden had a chat with Trudeau, say, you're going to have to stop this soon and we will give you money and political support, media support. He promised him he's going to get the media propaganda to help him, whether it's CNN or CBS and all the others. Said, we got your back. You just crack down. We're not going to criticize. We'll even help you financially. And he did it. 3 days later, he decided to do this whole emergency measures and crack down on the Canadian truckers. This is just one tiny example. It's the tip of the iceberg of what is happening around the world when it comes to geopolitics, when it comes to even random countries interfering in other countries' domestic affairs. There's nothing new about this, but we have to talk about it every time it happens. We're going to come back in half an hour. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Tousi, and we are the media.